So I've seen a few good videos that try to fix the English alphabet in some ways, and they're all pretty good. But I feel like they're all ignoring the fundamental issue. English grammar sucks. There's no two ways about it. English grammar has some major issues that really brings down the whole speaking and writing experience. IGN gave the English alphabet a 7 out of 10. Needs less water, so I've decided to take a liberal sledgehammer to the whole system, and I think I've created a much better one, addressing all the major flaws of the original. Consider this English Grammar 2, Spicy Vindaloo. First and foremost, the past tense is so inconsistent. Some verbs play nice and understand the rules of the game. Play becomes played, dance becomes danced, drag becomes dragged, but then, there's always some that feel like they're special. Sleep becomes slept? Sorry, what? No, that's stupid. Drink becomes drunk, fly becomes flew. All these irregular, different past tense versions are just more stuff to remember, and makes the grammar much less efficient. I propose all past tense versions of verbs end in ed. So instead of he slept peacefully, it is he sleeped peacefully. She flied to America. If the verb already ends in an e, so be it, still add ed. They lied to their friends. He excreted all over the carpet. Perfect and consistent. Much easier to use. On the topic of verbs, let's talk about participles and tense. Participles are basically versions of verbs that can be used as adjectives. So like, forbids past participle is forbidden. Takes is taken. Eat is eaten. These words need to go. What's the point? All past tense words will be simple past, now just called past tense. No more of this past perfect nonsense. No. No more of this bag was taken by a robber. The bag was taken by a robber. This rule has major consequences for the verbs be and do. The past tense of be is beed. Thus the word been no longer exists. The past tense of do is doed, meaning the word done is doed for. Another major issue I have with current English grammar, be with adjectives. Adverbs be simple. They describe how a verb be doed. They add to a verb, hence adverb. Clever. But what about adjectives? They describe a noun, not adjective. What even is adjective? So now adjectives are called adnouns. Much better. Proper nouns be things that you capitalize even when they be not at the start of a sentence. Words like Wednesday, July, LeBron James, Nepal, and Funko Pops. These be all proper nouns. It makes sense that important things like days, months, names of people, countries, and brands have their first letters capitalized to make them stand out. But if those all get capitalized, why don't seasons? Why be winter not given the same respect as bloody Thursday? Hell, why stop there? Why are compass directions like north and south given less respect than Elon Musk? I refuse to use a system of grammar that prioritizes Prince Andrew over eggs. Hence, to eliminate this problem, proper nouns no longer exist. All nouns will be righted in all lowercase, unless at the start of a sentence. That way Funko Pops will not be perceived as superior to Jeffrey Bezos. They be both equally terrible. Speaking of capitalization, why do we start sentences with a capital letter? Sure, it helps make it clear a new sentence be beginning, but a capital letter next to all lowercase letters looks unappealing. Also, this introduces another inconsistency. Letters like I and A on their own be words, so some sentences start with capital letters, whilst others start with capital words. This be an easy fix. All sentences will start with a capital word, in which all letters be capitalized. Next, homophones and heteronyms. A homophone be a word that sounds the same as another, but be spelled differently. Examples include made and made, break and break, stare and stare. This be an unacceptable oversight that makes communication context-based, meaning you might actually have to listen to everything someone says to understand what they mean. To amend this, all homophones will now be pronounced differently. Here be some illustrative examples. Flower and flower. Break and briac. I and yeah. Hour and h-hour. The biggest offender of this sin be easily the terrible totalitarian triumvirate that totally triggers terrifying trepidation. There, and there. This troublesome trio tenaciously trumps the troglodyte team, the duo it and its. These be plagues and frequently the cause of English students being marked down for poor grammar in classrooms across the world. No more. From now on, pronunciation of these words will be different, so students will be less likely to make mistakes. There, the and they. Yes, it is pronounced exactly like that. Fixing the itses, this one, use it to refer to possession, will keep its current pronunciation, its, whereas the contraction of it will now be pronounced it apostrophe s. I see no problem with this whatsoever, so do not bother to leave a comment on how this is nonsense. It's not. I am right. Actually, come to think of it, are and is don't exist anymore. So the contraction is just they apostrophe e instead of they and it apostrophe e instead of it apostrophe s. Heteronyms be much worse. These be words that be spelled the same but mean different things, like row and row and row, or lead and led, or record and record. These words too must have alternate pronunciations if they don't already. We will put an apostrophe in one of them, but now we'll have an apostrophe in it before the terminal letter. The other word will retain the current pronunciation. If they be both nouns, the longer one will have an apostrophe before the final letter, and the shorter one will keep its current pronunciation. In the situation they be three, two nouns and one non-noun, then two apostrophes will go before the last letter of the longer noun. So now we can distinguish between an excuse and to excuse apostrophe e. These two changes will also dramatically reduce the number of puns people can make, which would be a clear positive. Moving on, let apostrophe s address the elephant in the room. Punctuation. If we look at the punctuation marks people actually use, we can see one clearly stands out as having an identity crisis. The semicolon. I mean, it be a semicolon, but be completely useless. Pause for laughter. A semicolon be used to connect two independent clauses, or when separating a list of things that already includes commas. What apostrophe e the point? If two clauses be separate, keep them separate. You don't hear a semicolon when a sentence be read out loud. The semicolon actually uses more ink to W write down than two full stops do. Useless. Banish this thing to the shadow realm. There'd be still more work to do with this group of misfits. For example, this one, the exclamation mark, be trying way too hard to be cool. Like, oh, look at me. It draws too much attention. People who use exclamation marks be like that kid in school. You know the one that be trying way too hard to be funny, but just bean't, so instead just disrupted the lesson for no good reason and everyone hated him. But he thinked he was really cool. Talking to you, Freddy. What beard are we talking about? Right, exclamation marks. Be trying to be cool and exciting like the 90s, but be actually kinda cringe and need to die. Like the 90s. The final bugger who have a bone to pick with be this guy, the comma. Comma over here be a bit of a show-off. He thinks he'd be so much better than everyone else. He'd be used in lists, sure, but he also serves to introduce smaller pauses and subordinate clauses and terminate a quote without a full stop, and after adverbs and conjunctions at the start of a sentence. They apostrophe e hogging too much of the spotlight. They be encroaching on colon and full stop's territory. So, initially I thought of giving some of these functions to say the hyphen, or to his friends, dash, and maybe even some new punctuation marks, like the half stop. But then I remembered, f the hyphen, to the shadow realm. All hyphenated words will now be just two words. Instead, I realized that the only way that comma be gonna learn his lesson be if he's temporarily exiled, say for 2 to 3 years, given good behavior, to the shadow realm. He can come back after he has served his sentence. For the meantime, no more commas. No more helping your uncle jack off a horse, and helping your uncle jack off a horse. Also, pauses in sentences will happen when you naturally run out of breath or reach a full stop. List items will be separated by and. Future tense. You think I forget about you? On the contrary, I have big plans for you. The past tense verbs all end ed. The present tense verbs end ing. So we need a suffix for the future tense verbs that contains one vowel in it and is 4 letters following the trend of increasing length. No more of this will do business. I will pay taxes? Ha! No more. All future tense words will end in... Umped. So, I not pay my taxes. I continue to flush paper towels down the toilet even though the sign clearly says not to. We apostrophe e nearly done, but there apostrophe e still room for much improvement. In the previous sentence, I just used two contractions. We apostrophe e instead of we be, and there apostrophe e instead of there be. These be accepted because they sound good. be easier to write and nicer to say. But why stop there? Contractions be very powerful, so I suggest you can now contract anything you like. The rules be you must use an apostrophe, and you can only replace one letter. So words like I'll no longer exist, just I will. Although, I will no longer exists as per the previous rule, so... Okay, understand? Before we wrap things up, let apostrophe S go through some rapid fir'features. Screw adverbs, they don't exist anymore, and no every sentence last letter must rhyme, and no more dumb silent letters, and all words longer than 9 letters disappear, and paragraphs no longer exist, and plurals all end in S, and shall is a rubbish word, so shalom, it apostrophe E gone, and all words be spelled as the sound. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it be profound. I do a good job fixing English grammar. This is a hard script to read. Oh my god, too many apostrophes. I attempt to hammer